Hi everyone, I'm Bethan, the founder of Red Digital and Events. I run this small marketing kind of support agency that does consultation and social media management, event management, website design, all sorts of fun, creative stuff. But our main mission is to help smaller local businesses who may not have a full grasp of marketing to be able to run it effectively themselves, or maybe don't have the budget to be able to hire some of the larger marketing agencies based in Cardiff or Bristol, some of the biggest cities around the area. So as part of this, to make sure that I'm not just selling you information, I want to make sure that I make it accessible for everyone. I decided to start creating some video content with handy tips and tricks, things that you as a small business might want to know. So today we're going to kick things off by talking about Google. Now, I don't think I need to explain what Google is, but there are probably lots of things that Google do that you're not aware of. Now, I've mentioned Google, you're all probably assuming that I'm going to go down the route of SEO and discuss things like Google Search Console, Keyword Selector, and all those really useful tools. But I think there's already information available about that online. If you do want me to make a video on it, absolutely happy to, but I think there's probably some resource that you'll be able to find yourselves. To kick things off, let's talk about the theme of this year's conference. Every year Google run a conference where they break down all of the exciting updates that they've got coming up and just general advice and guidance for people that use Google in lots of different ways. So as a normal consumer user, as a business, and as a marketing tool. Interestingly, the theme of 2019's conference was audio and voice. Now, this may come as a surprise to you if you've ever been involved in marketing in the past. I'm sure you've heard about the benefits of video marketing. So it seems a little bit strange that Google has such a strong focus on voice and audio. However, this can tie into one of their most recent product launches. You may already be aware that Google now have their own home system called Google Home that works very similarly to the first launched Alexa by Amazon. Knowing that they've got a product that they're selling within the market of voice and audio definitely now sheds a bit of light and makes sense as to why they're pushing down this route and why they're trying to guide the internet into that direction. Could you imagine if Google could turn all of the video that's on YouTube and play it to you through Google Home as an audio feature? It kind of makes sense why they want to push that. Within this conference, they then made a few announcements of things that are coming up in the future. And there are going to be some changes to the search engine, which is always a little bit exciting. The first thing that definitely caught my eye combined with the theme of this year is that they're adding podcast search. So as you search and get the tabs along the top that are like news, all images, shopping, so on and so forth, they're now going to add podcast into that. So if you're looking for a specific podcast episode, even not a series that solely talks about a topic, you can search that direct through Google. So basically, if you haven't started making a podcast related to your business yet, now might be the time to do so. I mentioned the news section through Google. They're also changing slightly the way they work that. Now the most recent posts will be listed on top and it'll be in an almost timeline style, so you can see who broke the story first, what new details have emerged throughout a little bit more time, those kind of things. Also related to search, they're changing the way the image search works slightly. This is one of the points of the conference that I didn't get that much information on, but just keep an eye out. I'm sure there'll be updates coming through from them shortly. Right, so this is probably going to be the most important point for any of you that are businesses, especially if you're a physical business, if you're a store or a restaurant, or you have a location where people come in and visit. Google My Business is something that you may already be aware of, that you can send off for your business to be registered to a specific address, telephone number, email address that lists along the side of Google. It's really common these days that you'll kind of Google search something, that'll come up and you can call direct through Google instead of trying to go onto their website into Contact Us. It just makes it a little bit easier for consumers, for customers to find you, which usually means that the lead conversion works a little bit higher. Now, Google Maps and Google My Business are kind of interlinked, because with Google My Business you have to put an address in. Even if, like myself, you're an online business, you still have to register your address, just so that if anything changes in the future and you open up an office, for example, you're able to update your address and still hold all of those details and it not be claimed by someone else. Does that kind of make sense? Well, they announced that they're kind of planning for Google My Business and Google Maps to become a social platform in their own right. You've definitely seen this kind of coming out as of late. You might have noticed that you can now get Google Maps pictures and reviews direct instead of going through to TripAdvisor and things like that. And they're seeming to add more and more information daily on Google Maps itself profile. So now you'll be able to post status updates and things like that. So say for example you've got your opening hours listed, but the business is closed for a holiday, or something's come up and you've had to shut the shop for the afternoon, you can put a post directly in there that will say, hey, just so you know. And it means that if people aren't on your Facebook page, they're not followers of you, they've literally just looked you up, they can find that information out straight away. I personally have mixed feelings about this. Google have tried to launch a social network before and it didn't really pan out. RIP Google Plus, like it just didn't work. So, and I'm sure they've changed their strategies for this new launch, but it's just another thing to keep up on, and I think businesses already have so much that they have to do to make sure that their presence is available and that people are aware of them, that adding something else to that list almost seems like an unfair disadvantage to people. So of course here I'm going to do a little plug. If you are finding that you don't have the time to do the things that you want to do with your social media, if you are in a situation where you're not able to run your social media the way you like it because you don't have enough time, or maybe your social media and your marketing tactics are cutting into the time that you need to actually run your business, get in touch. I'm sure that we'll be able to help find something that we can do, even if it's just some guidance on how to streamline processes to make things a bit quicker. We do offer as much free support as we can, including an hour's free consultation for everybody with no obligation, and then we have some really small packages, including just blueprints and outlines that we would recommend that you take on board, that start from as low as £50 and it's just a one-off fee, or the lowest package of social media management we offer is £100 a month, which for a business I don't think is exceptionally expensive. And don't get me wrong, we have much bigger clients that are more hands-on and more time-consuming that go right up into the thousands, but we try and really keep our costs as low as possible to make sure that small businesses get as much help as they can. As always, Google wanted to make sure that you're doing your SEO properly. So now I know I said I wouldn't touch upon that, but just give me a minute. This is something that's so easy, you don't need to have any SEO knowledge to be able to do it. But if you're uploading pictures to any platform really, even Twitter now has alt text, but especially to your website, really try and make sure that you rename the file before you do so. So many people will just have file numbers that are either like misc123 because they've been taken by a camera, or they'll just be like a random bunch of letters and numbers that don't mean anything. Now you may not think that that's important because you're uploading the image, right? So people are going to see the picture, not the file name. But the crawlers that Google send to your website, and even the accessibility tools that mean that people with visual impairments can understand what's happening on your website, can't read an image. They have to read the alt text behind it or the image file. So if you were to upload an image like this and it was called ABC123, Google would just read out ABC123. However, if you uploaded that image and explained that there is a woman in front of a computer and she's sat in her office, then Google is more likely to rank you higher in their search engine. This seems really minimal and like something that people aren't that bothered about, but I promise it does make a really big difference to the way that your website performs. And no excuses, because it literally takes 1 minute or maybe less depending on how slow your computer is. One other thing that you may not know about images is that Google actually will rank you depending on the size and placement of your image as well. So if you're using blog content on your website, firstly, like, thank you. I try and tell people all the time how important it is to try and make time to, even if you're curating other content or just pulling something together quickly for your blog, it does yourself a favour in the long run. But if you're putting a really teeny tiny image right down low at the bottom of the page, Google don't really like that. They would much rather you do like a title, a big image that goes the full width of the page, and then all your content. It's also nicer from a reader perspective to have that like opening image. Now, a lot of businesses will also use text on the images. This is something that I absolutely do for social media, but I don't tend to do it on my website. You won't really find any of that on my website at all. Again, like I said, that the crawlers couldn't read what was going on an image, they can't read this text either. So if you've spent time making sure that this information is available and editing an image to make sure it all fits out really nicely, it's completely useless when it gets to Google. Now, not so much a tip, but more so just exciting things that are coming forward from this Google conference. And we're going back to this like audio and voice theme at this point as well. Google's AI for their assistant has always been great, especially with the way that they can understand language in the way that we actually use it as humans versus the way that some AI tools speak, and you kind of think that's not something a human would ever say to me. You may remember last year they had Google Assistant call to make a hairdressing appointment and call to make a restaurant reservation, and it was really, really interesting to see like how inconspicuous it was that this was a robot talking down the phone. And if you use Gmail at all, I personally, my business email is run through G Suite. The way in which their reply responses are coming together are incredible. So they will suggest what they think you're most likely to say when you start typing, and will finish your sentences or even finish your emails for you quite a lot of the time. And it takes just more and more of that admin time out of your day-to-day. And if you're running a business, you know that doing things like answering emails is something that takes low priority. Okay, this is the point where I'm going to cut it off because I could keep talking about all the stuff that Google are doing for hours and hours, but basically to just brief really, really quickly, if you can, make sure that you try and use podcast and audio content as well as video through your social media, through your website, through whatever platforms you can find the time to do so. If you can, try and get on Google My Business really early. Usually early users of new platforms are given almost a little boost in the algorithms, so if you can get on Google My Business now, do it. And as always, make sure your images are named properly for SEO reasons. So I'm going to go ahead and ask you to hit that subscribe button, please, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can get updates as and when I post. I'm going to try and do it as often as I can find time to. I also would like to say, if you did find anything that was useful, any tips that you didn't already know, please hit the thumbs up button. And comment below if you do want me to do a video on SEO. I kind of mentioned it at the very beginning of this video. It's a long topic, but I can do my best to summarise it and make it really bite-sized and easy to digest.